The forest was silent. Once this world had teemed with life, its jungles thick with massive terrestrial predators, its skies swarming with winged beasts large enough to blot out the twin moons. That was centuries ago. Now, the jungle stood as a monument to extinction. The great beasts were long dead. Their bones lay hidden beneath the undergrowth, choked by vines and fungal blooms. The planet had become something else, a hive, a tomb, a hunting ground. Blackspear crouched upon the gnarled limb of a colossal tree, his silhouette swallowed by the tangled canopy. His golden eyes flickered behind the mask's visor, scanning the darkness below. The scent of acid and rotting vegetation mixed in the damp air. The hive was near. A chittering sound echoed through the branches, the clicking of clawed feet against bark. Below, the underbrush trembled. The xenomorph, the dominant life form, the only life form. Where once apex predators had stalked this world, now there was only the hive, an infestation that had wiped out everything else, leaving behind a thriving ecosystem of plants and insects that flourished in the absence of larger herbivores and carnivores alike. But the hive was starving. No new hosts meant no expansion. The swarm had been feeding on itself for generations, and the queen knew it. She would not let an intruder go unanswered. Blackspear remained motionless, his grip tightening around the haft of his spear. His brothers were dead. The first had been torn apart before his eyes, his severed arm still clutching a plasma caster that had not finished charging. The second had lived long enough to bleed, long enough to rasp his final demand. Avenge me. Blackspear would. A distant hiss cut through the jungle, a piercing, inhuman shriek that sent the canopy trembling. The queen had sensed him. Blackspear dropped from the tree, vanishing into the shadows below. Blackspear's footfalls were silent, the soft brush of his form against the thick undergrowth barely a disturbance. His obsidian skin absorbed the faint moonlight, making him a shadow in the forest's vast, undisturbed gloom. The jungle around him was alive in ways it shouldn't have been, teeming with mutated flora that choked the air with their alien scent. Toxic vines wrapped themselves around every tree, while fungi like swollen boils glowed with an eerie, sickly light. Even the insects, horrible, too large for comfort, buzzed in swarms with unnerving precision. The xenomorphs moved in the shadows too, always alert, always watching. The hive was no longer just a den of predators. It was an empire, a thriving, insidious reign. The drones never stopped hunting, never stopped searching for fresh prey to build the nest with. Blackspear paused at the edge of a clearing. Ahead, he could see the distinct, gleaming carapace of a drone, the first to appear, though more would be coming. This one was larger than the others, its body marked by scars of battle. It was a veteran, old enough to have hunted in the dark for many cycles. It moved silently, calculating, a glimpse of an alien mind at work. But it was not a threat, not yet. Blackspear's spear whistled through the air, an arc of motion too fast for the creature to react. The drone's head exploded in a splatter of acid and bone, its body crumpling to the forest floor. The sound of the shot reverberated through the jungle, loud and foreboding. Another hiss. Blackspear's senses sharpened as more drones appeared, their screeches a chorus in the night. The queen had known he was coming for some time. She would not allow him to continue his hunt without retaliation. From the treetops the shadows rippled. A hulking shape descended, larger than any drone or warrior. The Praetorian. Its head was shaped like the queen's, flattened into a fanning crest, and its armor was thick, chitinous black obsidian. The air hummed with the queen's influence as the Praetorian's mouth opened, revealing rows of vicious teeth. Blackspear adjusted his grip on his spear. It was time. The Praetorian's massive form loomed, casting a long, menacing shadow over the clearing. It was a living nightmare, its brutal posture striking fear into even the most hardened of warriors. Blackspear could feel the tension in the air, a primal charge, as if the planet itself were holding its breath. This was no mere drone. The Praetorian was a guardian, a being of deadly intelligence, whose only purpose was to protect the Queen. Blackspear's golden eyes flickered beneath his mask, adjusting to the low light, analyzing the creature's every movement. The Praetorian was fast, despite its size, and it would not fall easily. But Blackspear had faced worse. He had fought beasts far older and more dangerous than this creature. The hunt would be a brutal test, but a test nonetheless. The Praetorian hissed, a sound that shook the very air and charged. Its claws scraped across the earth, sending chunks of dirt flying into the air as it barreled toward him. Blackspear leaped to the side, barely avoiding the creature's initial swipe. His spear flashed as it sliced through the air, but the Praetorian was quick. It countered with a vicious swing of its tail, knocking Blackspear off balance, sending him sprawling to the ground. For a moment, the world spun around him. The sharp sting of pain from the impact rattled his focus, but he recovered in an instant. His grip on his spear tightened. He would not falter. The Praetorian advanced, its claws clicking against the earth like the ticking of a death clock. Blackspear rolled to his feet, shifting into a stance honed through years of combat. The creature was relentless, and he had no time to waste. Blackspear's spear struck again, this time finding its mark. He pierced the Praetorian's thick, armored chest, but it was not enough to end the battle. The creature screeched in fury, twisting and contorting as it tried to dislodge the weapon. Blackspear pressed the attack, dancing around the Praetorian with unparalleled agility. Each strike was carefully calculated, each move a testament to his expertise. But the Praetorian was no ordinary foe. It was strong, cunning, and as relentless as he was. Blackspear's mind raced as he fought, every move instinctual, every attack precise. His spear flashed in the dim light, its edge catching the glow of the toxic fungi scattered across the forest floor. The Praetorian was relentless, its movements a deadly symphony of precision. It swung its massive tail once more, and Blackspear barely ducked in time. The tail passed mere inches above his head, cutting through the air with terrifying speed. The sheer force of the swing sent a tremor through the ground. His spear sliced through the air, striking at the Praetorian's underbelly, only to be deflected by its thick armored plating. Blackspear grimaced, his body screaming with fatigue. This fight was draining him, but he couldn't stop. He would not stop until it was over. The Praetorian hissed, a vicious, organic sound that seemed to vibrate through the air. It lashed out with its claws, catching Blackspear across his chest, ripping through his armor. The pain was intense, but the bloodied gash only fueled his rage. Blackspear let out a roar, spinning in place as he launched himself at the creature, his spear aimed directly at its throat. With a sickening crack, the spear struck home, piercing deep into the Praetorian's neck. The creature staggered, screeching in agony as it struggled to dislodge the weapon. But Blackspear didn't give it the chance. He twisted the spear, driving it further, and with a final, brutal motion, he tore the weapon free. The Praetorian's body crumpled to the ground, its massive form twitching in its death throes. Blackspear stood over it, his chest heaving with exertion, his golden eyes locked on the fallen creature. He had won, but it had cost him. For a long moment, the jungle was silent, save for the distant hum of the planet's unnatural life. Blackspear's mask flickered, transmitting vital data, scanning for any sign of the Queen. His hunt was far from over.